Hey guys, it's Martin from Yes I'm a Designer. Let me show you a new feature in Photoshop CC 2019. So I'm going to talk about the frame tool introduced in this latest version of Photoshop. And you probably already feel that I'm not that enthusiastic about this. And there's a couple of reasons I'm going to list. So I am going to do pros and cons of this option because I try to be as objective as possible. The tool is almost exactly doing the same what a clipping mask is meant to do in Photoshop. And I completely understand what Adobe is trying to do. They are trying to make this feature a bit more user-friendly, something that's more obvious how it works. Because clipping masks, being a trainer, I know is sometimes a little bit tricky to get your head around. So when you're first facing this feature and you have to understand how it works, it might not be as intuitive. So as I said, Adobe is trying to make this feature a bit more self-explanatory. First of all, I'm going to show you how a clipping mask would work. So if you're not familiar with it, we have, let's say, a shape like the ellipse tool with which I can click and drag to draw this shape. And then once we have the shape ready, we can bring in an image like this one from Adobe Stock. I'm just using a stock image for now from the libraries panel. And I'm going to place it over that circle. And to create the clipping, I have to hold down Alt or Option and click between the two layers. So that's now clipped onto the circle. I can also get rid of the clipping and easily I can move the circle around. I can move the image within the circle around as well, or resize that, and so on and so forth. Instead of this, now you can choose to create a frame and then drag and drop anything into that frame. So the result will be almost exactly the same. You just get to the feature slightly differently. So let me show you. From the frame tool, we can choose rectangular or elliptical frames. Let's just go with the elliptical one. So I'm going to click and drag to create that, and holding down Shift, I can make sure it's going to be a perfect circle if I want to. Once you have your frame ready, you can drag and drop anything into it from Finder, from Bridge, from even another layer, or of course from the libraries panel. So I'm just going to use another image, maybe this bird. Let's drag and drop that in here, and we can see that it's already clipped into that circle. So the drag and drop option is definitely a much easier way of setting things up. And of course I can still move the image within the circle around, or even use free transform to resize it, which is great. So that works exactly the same way. And if I want to move the frame around, I can double click, then the frame and the image will move together. So this double click technique is also an advantage because you don't have to go to the layers panel. With clipping masks, you would have to select either the shape or the image within the shape to do independent changes. While with the frame, we can move the frame around or then double clicking, accessing the content within the frame. If you're familiar with InDesign, this is exactly the same way that you work with frames there, with the only difference that in InDesign, you have the content grabber, a little circle in the middle that can help you to move the content much faster, so you don't always have to double click. And to be honest, I don't feel like the indication of what is selected is really good at this moment. So when I double click, okay, I can see the outlines of my image, but it's not always obvious. So while InDesign is using two different colors showing whether the content or the frame is selected, here we don't have much visual indication of which state is currently affected. Maybe what you can concentrate on is that when you have the frame selected, it's a dark black outline, and when the content is selected, that turns gray. But as I said, it's not as clear and obvious for the first time. But then the bigger problem is that if I want to keep the image or the content in place and want to move the frame around, which we can do with the clipping mask very easily, simply by just selecting the shape and move that around so you can see the image stays in place. Here with this new frame tool, you can select the frame's thumbnail, which highlights the frame separately, but even then, it moves together with the image inside it. I couldn't really find a way to move it independently. The only thing I can do at this point is to transform the frame independently from the image. So I can maybe move it to the left side and then move this also to the left side. So you can see now the image is staying in place, but it's just not a convenient and easy way to move the frame around. And obviously the circle in this case is getting distorted. Now, as I said, I didn't have much time to experiment with this tool, so there might be a workaround it, but if there is one, it's very well hidden. So if I couldn't find it, I don't know whether beginner users will be able to find it. And if the feature is meant to help more beginners, I don't think it's actually an improvement to the clipping mask in that sense. But to concentrate on the positives, one feature that's definitely useful is whatever you place into a frame automatically turns into a smart object, which helps to work non-destructively even if you're not thinking about it. But let's move on and create now another empty frame. So I'm just going to use the frame tool and now set it to rectangular frame. So I'll just create a frame up here. And here's already one thing that I wanted to mention as a negative. Unfortunately, if you are overlapping your frame on an existing layer, even if it's just slightly overlapping it, it's automatically going to suck those layers into itself and turn them into a frame. So you can see that I didn't even overlap it visually on that layer, but because that was a layer that expanded further beyond the details that we could see, it immediately generated this unwanted result. So if I undo this, I'll show you again. If I create a frame up here, once again, we didn't expect this to happen, but it did. To avoid this happening, you either need to increase your canvas or you have to draw your frame really small somewhere where it's not going to affect anything, and then you start to increase its size, because when you're increasing its size, it's not going to immediately suck everything into itself, only on the creation. But the same thing can happen when you're accidentally moving things around over or overlapping an existing empty frame. So let me show you this. If I select this image here and I start moving it around, as soon as it accidentally overlaps an empty frame, it behaves as a drag and drop. So it tries to be useful, but it's actually getting in the way. So once again, I would say this is more annoying than useful, unfortunately. But just to go back a couple of steps to have a little bit more cleaner canvas, I want to also show you that you can create custom shapes as well and turn them into frames. So if I use the custom shape tool and I draw maybe here a shape like, I don't know, let's just use SpongeBob. And once we have that shape ready, if we want to turn this into a frame, we can do that by right-clicking and choosing Convert to Frame. That's great. So this will ask us what size we want this to be. I'm just going to click OK. Once again, on creation of the frame, because it was overlapping another image, it does the same issue. So I have to undo this, move this somewhere where it's not going to affect anything. And there I'm going to turn it into a frame. Hopefully it's not going to turn anything into itself. Yeah, that's fine. So now we have our frame ready. I'm just going to turn off this group here on the left side. So we have a custom frame or custom shape that we turn into a frame. And let's see what happens if we drag an image into this. So I'm just going to use maybe this image, drag and drop, nicely created it. And of course we can also replace images. So if I want to have another image in here, I can just drag and drop and it immediately replaces it. So this is once again a positive side of the frame tool, that you can create custom frames and you can very quickly replace their content as well, again just by drag and dropping. If I select this path, the frame itself, you can see that it is highlighting it and I can resize it. I don't know why, but you can't rotate it directly here. You have to press Command or Control T to get into the free transform tool to then be able to rotate the frame. It's again just not that intuitive. If they allow control points on it, why can't you rotate it at the same time? But that's fine. So as I said, we can do it. The problem is I won't be able to select the anchor points on this path. So if I want to tweak the path, so for example, in this case, using the direct selection tool, even though I have the frame selected, I am not able to do that. So I can't select these points, while with my clipping mask, I can very easily select any of the anchor points and I can start moving them around freely and completely change the shape and the form of this frame. Once again, there might be a work around this, and maybe you can somehow get to the frame's outline and make changes to it, but it's not intuitive. And also, just want to point out that when I'm working with the frame and I have my move tool selected, notice how the cursor is changing when I hover over the frame tool. So it's trying to indicate that I can work with the frame tool instead of like a normal move tool. For me, it is more confusing because the black arrow is the selection tool in Photoshop, which is for working with paths. So it's exactly the same tool. And it's confusing me because I'm working with the move tool. So there's two completely different tools and it's just not clear what's happening. So even something like that, I think needs to be considered when you are introducing a new feature. So once again, I feel like it could have been a good feature if it was a little bit more well thought out and developed. But at its current stage, I wouldn't replace my clipping mask workflow, and I wouldn't advise anyone to use this tool, even beginners. I wouldn't necessarily show it to them because I think it causes just more confusion, and clipping masks are actually more functional and you can do much more with them. One more example that I wanted to demonstrate is if you have a text layer like this one here and you want to use it as a clipping mask, you can still edit the text. So if I drag and drop another image, okay, and align it above it, Alt click between the two, now we have the image clipped onto the text, but the text is still editable. So I can use the type tool, I can select this text, I can even do kerning, Alt left and right arrows, refine my text, so on and so forth, select the image, move it around within the text as we would normally work with a clipping mask. But let's see what happens when we turn this text into a frame. So if I right click on the text layer and choose convert to frame, let's see what happens. The good thing is that it remembered the image that was clipped onto it, so it could actually turn that image already into the content for this frame. That's great. And I can move it around, or I can double click and move the image around within the text. That's great again. But let's see if I select my type tool. Can I select the text? No. You won't be able to edit the text. So it's actually turned into a path and it's not an editable text anymore. And one last thing that I wanted to mention is that if you have a clipping mask and you use a drop shadow, for example, on it, like for this shape here on the right, if I add drop shadow, that works fine. I can move it around and we can see exactly how it's working. While if I have an image in a frame, like this one here, I can't select independently the content and the frame because they are all joined into one layer. So I have to add the layer style onto this frame layer. So I can just duplicate that drop shadow from the top, Alt click and drag the effects, drag and drop it here. So now we have a drop shadow on this frame, but we can't see it. Once you select the frame or the content within the frame and you start moving it around, you notice that the drop shadow is actually there. It was just hidden because it's not on the outline of the frame, it's on the outline of the content within the frame. So all in all, to summarize, I am afraid to say that there's more cons than pros to the frame tool. It's still an interesting concept and I hope it will be improved in the future. But I just want to mention one last thing, and that is more of an understanding of what each application is supposed to be used for. By having a tool like this in Photoshop, I feel like, or I'm afraid that it's just going to cause more confusion over the reason why someone's supposed to work in InDesign for layout and print design. So there will be more users ending up doing things in Photoshop that's more supposed to be done in InDesign. So by blurring the lines between these two applications, they are just confusing the users. of what they are meant to do in Photoshop and what they're meant to do in InDesign. So trying to be consistent throughout the Creative Cloud applications is usually a great idea, but in this case, I feel like it is going in the wrong direction. But let me know what you think about the frame tool. I'm really interested to see what you guys think, and also what you think needs to be improved if we want to work with the frame tool. And if you want to learn more about the other new features introduced in Photoshop, InDesign and Illustrator in the Creative Cloud 2019 update, then make sure you check the other videos on our channel. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.